Unlimited edition.
Welcome back to another episode of the Black Sheep Podcast. I'm your host, Toshiba Smallwood. Listen, guys, if you haven't had an opportunity to catch up or be informed with us here on Black Sheep, please be sure to catch up on us on all our social media platforms. Please go over there, like, comment, and subscribe. We would love to hear from you. Not only that, if you would like the Black Sheep to come to a city near you, or you would like to be on the Black Sheep Podcast, be sure to DM us or send us an email at theblacksheep@gmail.com. All right, guys, we got another great guest today. My guy, the mystery man, Mr. Mike Burks. What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
Man, it's so good to see you. Thank you for coming out and sheeping with us today.
Absolutely. I've been waiting for this conversation.
Oh, man, listen. Mike hit me up and he's like, yo, let's do it. And I'm like, you sure, Mike? You know, me and him always he's such a big supporter of everything that I do all the time. I always can go to him for absolutely anything. And so we have a unique relationship.
Yep.
And just in our own confident time with one another, you know, and I'm like, you sure? He's like, let's do it. So I'm just grateful that he's ready to use his story on this platform to help reach other men like him. I love when men come on the show. For me, I love for them to be transparent. I know from a man side of things that men are just told to be isolated.
Yeah.
Keep everything in. Be a man. Don't show emotion.
Quit crying. Man up.
Yeah. And I think that's just, you're human, right?
All of them. Everybody got feelings. Everybody got something going on. Allow that person to feel it, and we can probably get through that hurt.
Right, and process it. Everything's a process, and so whenever I have men or young men want to come out, I mean, I'm all in. I definitely always want you guys to come out because I want men to be more in tune with their feelings. It helps the ladies. Not only helps themselves, but it helps the ladies as well.
They don't know that yet, though. You'd rather us have our feelings than be sad.
Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. But anyway, this tapping right in. Obviously, you've had your experiences of things that made you silent and made you want to be isolated as a sheep. So, what did that experience feel like, just being silent?
Man, so growing up, Chicago, Illinois, you know, humble beginnings.
Same.
Yep. Man, south side of Chicago, if not to be exact. If anybody from Chicago, man, in the comments, talk to me. I'd love to hear from you guys. But humble beginnings, dysfunctional family, alcohol abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, anything that you can think of. This was all part of my daily curriculum inside of the household, right? So my stepfather at the time was not really one of the best role models when it come down to handling feelings, dealing with feelings, emotions, all those things. So it was a lot of that. What you mean? Like, you know, be quiet, you know, man up, stop crying, stop being a baby, stop being a pea, you know, stuff like that. And there were things that he would do to me, my sisters, my mother, right? There's a lot of abuse going on in all those different areas. And I've never been the type of guy to not speak up, right?
Right.
Because it was contradictory. He would always teach me about speaking up and not letting no one, you know, back me down. But at the same time, he was the only one that could.
Right.
I don't care who it is, but I'm the one that can back you down. Yeah. Even with that, I could never do it. So he would use force to shut me in.
Yeah.
Right. Overwhelming force in different areas, scare tactics. And I don't know if he did it intentionally, unintentionally. Maybe it was just his upbringing and things that he did. But it silenced me for a while. I was a kid in the household where I wouldn't say much. Only in my deepest opportunities where I felt they were vulnerable, I would speak up and kind of give some advice. And even as a little kid, the advice I was given was so, you know, to them it was amazing, right, that I could give them that. But at the same time, you know, this was something that I could speak up on all the time.
Right.
And then being silenced in school, you know, being an outcast because I didn't have all the good clothes. I didn't have all the good friends. I wasn't a cool kid.
Yeah.
So I had to stay up out of those little areas where people can ridicule me and doing all this. So I was silenced in almost every area of my life, and it felt like I was acting against my own nature.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's me. I want to talk. I want to speak up. I want to speak for other people. But at the time being silenced, I just felt like it wasn't me. I was being suppressed in a way that hurt me so deep that for a while I just lost myself.
Right. And in that moment of being lost, how did you deal with your silence? Like, what did you do?
Music got me through it a lot. Man, I'm such a fan and a art I love the music. I dig deep into it. I know artists all the way back from 1960s all the way up until now, and I learned these little things from them. I learned how to love through music. I learned how to be more soft and gentle through music. I've learned how to speak to women through music. Music was my teacher, so I would engulf myself in my music all the time. Late at night, when everything was down in the house, I would put some headphones on and listen to WGCI in Chicago and just listen to these love songs on how to actually talk to a woman. I didn't get that information from my mom or my stepfather. I got the information from music.
Right.
Yeah. So I used music as a way to get me through the silence.
Listen, big up to the guys. I had about 3 or 4 guys come out here and talk about some music. Listen, y'all about to get a soft album out of me. Y'all better stop playing. Y'all better stop playing with me. Y'all about to get a soft album out of me. So big ups to that. To the guys who had an opportunity to come out here. You guys love expressing yourself in music.
It was the only way to get a lot of times back then, especially during the 80s, early 90s, the music that we had gave us so much information on what was needed to be soft, what it is to be alluring, what it be sexual, sensual, whatever it was all in the music. And you learn certain things if you were listening that would make you, somewhat of an individual in the streets, right?
Right.
So I used that.
Be the man.
Listen,
You gotta be the Mac a little bit.
used my powers for evil for a very long time, but I'm not that guy anymore.
So it's safe to say that music helped you find your voice.
Absolutely.
And so by finding your voice, how did that impact you? How did you feel once you began to find your voice as a young man? Not even a man yet, as a young man.
Man, the crazy part is I didn't really start voicing myself until I got older.
Okay.
There's only one instance when I was a young boy that I actually voiced my opinion and I felt empowered. There was a time, so my mom and my father, they were drug addicts, right? Alcoholics. House would always it was always a party going on. Always a party going on. At least 4 days. This night, everybody was partying. My mom and dad got into their usual arguments. Everybody got out of the house and things got a little out of hand, got a little physical. And my mom, who was getting beat on at the time, she had to run and get out of the house. And I ran outside after him with the wooden part of an axe.
Yeah.
I didn't have the actual axe piece on it, I had the wooden part of it. And I ran up on him and I kind of voiced my opinion on what I felt he was doing to my mom.
Yeah.
Right. Now, granted, he didn't move, he didn't, waver or anything like that because he didn't think I would hit him. But he saw in my eyes, I think, that moment that I'm just about tired.
You're growing up.
Yeah, I think I was around 14, 15. Yeah. 14, 15. I was in this space where I was just, finding myself in high school. I'm looking at, I'm lifting weights, I'm playing ball, and I'm doing all this, I'm getting stronger, faster, and all this other stuff. And I looked at him at that moment. It's like, I think it's about that time. Right. And I just got to my point where I couldn't take it anymore. I had to say something.
Yeah. And it's nothing like wanting to protect somebody you love.
Yeah.
Right? Someone who's supposed to protect and love you. And I can actually relate to an experience like that.
Yeah.
Growing up, watching my stepfather beat my mom all the time and just wanted to be at her defense.
Yeah.
Right. And,
all the time.
You know, but then it turns into like, hurt people because she's not even trying to help herself.
Man,
you know what I mean?
We don't even want to go there, right?
No, I know.
I found out my own about the hurt that was hurting the hurt.
Right.
Later on in life. I mean, we're talking about 40 years into my life, just really figuring out what was really going on in that relationship that I had nothing no idea what was going on as a kid, but I found out later on what the hurt was doing to the hurt on both sides.
And because I have a relationship with you, I know a few things personally about you that we will share today.
Yeah.
But I can't say that you are one of our sheeps. It's safe to say. You have so many different things, like myself, that made me a sheep. It wasn't just one specific thing that made me a sheep. I had so many negative experiences growing up, just like yourself. So could you give me a little bit more detail about like what are one of the things that really hurt you the most?
So we talked about all these different sheep, and a lot of people don't know all of them. They'll get to know them, right? Of course. But my biggest part of my sheep is abandonment, right? I was abandoned numerous times throughout my life. I went into, we're talking about even now, sometimes I feel abandoned in certain things. But my sheep is abandonment. My sheep is this little kid who consistently looked for mom to be there, looked for dad to be there, and even though they were in the house, they were never in the house.
Yeah. Yes.
You know,
I just had that conversation not too long ago. It's like my parents, they're there, but they're not there.
Yeah, like when I mean they're there, not there. Like, of course they're there. The bills are getting paid, whatever. We're able to eat, right? We got those things. We're able to go to school back and forth. We got some clothes, but when it comes down to the emotional, right? When it comes down to the talking that they need to give me or the advice I need to get from as a man or any of that, none of that's there. They were so engulfed in their personal happiness and their personal relationship, whether it be drugs, alcohol, partying, kicking it, arguing between each other. They were so engulfed in their personal relationship that they missed out on all the years where they could have been more engulfed in this. Right. Even now, my stepfather, he loves me. I love him because of, the times that he was there. He actually tried to be a dad, right? It didn't work out, but he was. But we don't have a deep relationship like we should because of the fact he never was there for the things that mattered.
Yeah.
Right? He barely knows who I am and the things I've been through, and I tell him that often. And he thinks he knows the kid, but you don't even know that kid that was growing up. Like, you don't even know this adult, but you definitely don't know the kid that was growing up in your house neither.
Right. So how would you know the grown man?
You don't know me. You know of me. You know I'm the child that grew up around you, soft, gentle, really wasn't a fighter. But you don't know the traumatic things from my end, what I was going through in my head, watching you do what you do. The things that you would tell me, all these, it's just rough, man. And the sheep, I'm consistently fighting the silence. I'm consistently fighting the the urge to go into a corner and be by myself because I'm consistently feeling the abandonment. Like even now, right? I was talking not just today. I was talking to you. Not just my mother not being here no more, even though she passed on her own terms and the stuff. I feel like I'm abandoned by her. You left.
Right.
You know what I mean? Again.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the biggest things that ever happened to me. I think I was around 16 years old. And this was shortly after another incident that I had because I had to, when you're homeless with your mom and you're in these situations, you got to do what you got to do to help her take care of family.
Right.
The guy that she was with knows about these things, so at 16 years old, he kind of convinced her that you no longer need to have this boy in your house. So she kicked me out.
Oh, that feeling too.
She kicked me out, and I was living in the basement of the place that they were living in. I was living in the basement because my sister would let me in through the back door. She would feed me. She would make sure I had clothes, some of my clothes and all that stuff. My sister Adrian. If you see this, my sis on here, yes, I'm talking about you.
Shout out, big sis. Is it big sis?
Little sis. Little sis. I'm my sister. Yeah, my
about?
sister Adrian, man, she made sure to have a place to stay, sleep, had something to eat until I was able to find another place where I can be and everything like that. She always took care of me. Even after our mother abandoned us on the same block we were on, no more than maybe under a year later, where it was me, my sisters, my mom abandoned us, and we had to fend for ourselves on 5151 South Carolina. A lot of y'all gonna see this on on Facebook. And those of you know about 5151 South Carolina. Yeah, we were just a bunch of teenagers taking care of each other,
Right.
abandoned in our own little space on this block amongst two blocks that had rival gangs that were always at war. We were just trying to take care of each other, eating ramen noodles and drinking cheap alcohol and trying to figure out what it looks like to be a teenager.
Or trying to figure out how to be an adult at that. You know what I mean?
Doing too much adult stuff.
Yeah.
Too much of the wrong adult stuff.
Right.
Probably should have found a job instead of doing what I was doing at the time.
And I'm telling you, like, I've had that experience too, you know, and you know, at least you had a basement. My mom put me in a car. Like, I leave my car unlocked for you, and it's a blanket out there for you, you know. And so, I mean, just going through, I mean, Texas is not Chicago cold, but Texas get cold.
It get a little. Y'all get them 20s or 15s. And when you ain't got a decent enough cover and enough warmth, man,
you can't turn the car on, you know, you just, and they get cold. And so for me, my mom I've been through some traumatic things in my life. But out of all the traumatic experiences that I've been through, my mom was the person who hurt me.
Yeah.
Who was the person that hurt you the most?
Same person. Same person.
Tell me, why?
So, because of the choices that she consistently chose to make. Like, I understand a little bit now, but she consistently chose this man over our well-being and safety. There were times where she would run away from the man and she would make it back to him. There were times where, you know, she would choose what he wants over what we needed, right? And I felt like that was the truth. Once I was able to understand as a young man the choices she was making and the things that she was doing, that was the first time I ever knew that I was being abandoned. Like, that's the first time I knew that I was by myself. I was alone in this thing. I always felt like I was an outsider. I always felt like I was different than everyone around me. But at that moment, I felt like I wasn't even part of this family. I didn't know what was going on with my sisters. I knew they felt something. I wasn't, look, I couldn't even be a good big brother to them because I didn't have a mother showing me what a good big brother, or a father showing me what a good big brother would be to my sisters. Right? So I'm leaving them to themselves while they're leaving me to myself. Right. You know, the perpetuality of it was just crazy. So yeah, my mother, man, there were times where I was in Job Corps, 92, 93. Yeah, 92, 93. I was in Job Corps. Because I was on the street, she was done playing with me or whatever, because I found different ways to make my money, get my way. Like, if you're not going to do it for me, like, I got to find ways. If you know Chicago streets, you know what it's going to look like, right? Yeah. So she got tired of that. She said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to graduate. I want to do better, but it's hard. Yeah. Right? These streets is calling me. You got me out here in these streets.
You put me out.
Right? So she was like, well, we're going to put you in Job Corps. I was like, what's that? Educated me on me, went to orientation, and it was like, all right, we're going to get you up out of here. So when I got on the bus to go to Job Corps, I was in there for a year and a half and never heard from
Jesus.
Now, I'm looking at people get care packages from their mom, looking at people get letters, phone calls, silence. So at the time, I couldn't talk to my sisters. I couldn't talk to her. There was no contact with family. So I was alone in this environment that was almost like a college campus. And I had to, figure out what Mike looked like alone, which I've done so many times in my life, which is one of the things I'm comfortable with. Once I feel like I'm alone, it's crazy. I feel more comfortable alone than I do in an environment where people are supporting me, because I know I know that if anything goes wrong, I can blame it on me.
Right.
I don't have to worry about whether or not you're going to do right by me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to worry about whether or not if you're going to treat me right, or if you're going to do me right, or you're going to say the right things to me, or treat me the same way I would treat you. If I'm alone, if I treat me wrong, I'm the only person that wasn't. So I feel comfortable in that most of the time. And I'll get in those spaces where I have to pull myself out, where I'm like, if everybody ain't going to act like they, going to help me out, then I'm out of here. So I'll mentally check out sometimes.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
In your abandonment, and some of us know what abandonment feels like.
Yeah.
Have there ever been a time in your life where you have abandoned someone else.
Yes.
Because of what you've been through, it kind of switched and made you, I don't know what word I want to use, but where you become basically the predator of your trauma.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Where you
I become the person that's putting that trauma on someone else. Yes. I've done it to my actual children. Yeah. So
how does it make you feel as a man?
Man, to this day, I'm still upset. To this day, like, so my daughter, I have my oldest daughter. Me and her mom were not getting along. We just couldn't find that space where we can actually parent. And I had left, and I was in the city at the time, right? And I was able to, try and co-parent and everything like that. But even then, in the city that I was in, I just couldn't find my way. And a friend of mine, kind of pulled me aside and really hurt my feelings, but put some real words in my mouth. Shout out to my good friend Frank Patterson. He pulled me aside and he told me, Mike, the only way you're going to be able to take care of your daughter is if you take care of yourself first. Yeah, you're going to have to leave her where she is. Get you together so you can come back and take care of her. Well, me leaving, left the state, right? Left her behind for a little while. And in leaving her behind, the hurt that I left her mother in, the hurt that I was in, created this environment where I couldn't be there for her for over 9 years. And now, because of these decisions that I made, even now, me and her don't have a good relationship. Like right now, me and her are not talking. Right. It's one of the hardest things during a time where, my mother's not here, can't be around my family, my sisters and everything like that. And one of, what I love my girls. I love all my girls. And not being able to talk to one of my favorite girls in the world, right, really hurts me every day. And it hurts me not to be able to be there for her. Yeah. And I've done it to her. My daughter in Chicago, she feels abandoned sometimes because I'm not there, right, like I should. I've abandoned women, right? I've abandoned them just like on a mental tip. Yeah. Ooh. And emotionally inside of a relationship, just like go ahead and be vulnerable. Yeah, yeah. Like I was there sexually, right? And I was there in body, but being the type of guy that you need, or being the type of just anything that you needed other than the physical, I wasn't there for. So I'm gonna go there with you because I believe that a lot of times that doesn't just only come from that particular situation. Yeah. It doesn't only come from abandonment. It comes from a sexual assault background. Yeah. It comes from the things that has been taken from us from a sexual assault. Yeah. It can. Situation that will leave us. I tell my survivors a lot that going through something like that will thrust us in many places. And so when you say that, that sounds so familiar. Yeah. Because I know that disconnect from, a significant other and just doing stuff to do stuff. Yeah. Just cause you're handsome, you cute or whatever. Yeah. But because I know a few personal things about you. Yeah. Tell us about that particular part of your life. Man. So because I didn't feel loved a lot, I found love in sexual action, right? So that was one of the things I did. But when we talk about the sexual assault side of it, there is not one person on this planet that actually knows this part. Right. Before my mom passed, I never talked to her. My stepfather never knew it. Sisters never knew it. I've never talked to anybody, right? So when this was during a time where my mother, she had got beaten really bad from my stepfather, and we ran away to another state. We were living with some friends of hers, mutual friends of her and her and my stepfather. And, I used to have, kids. They got kids. If I remember right, 2 sons. I can't even remember now. I think it was 2 sons and 1 daughter. But I was in the room with the boys, of course, and, at nighttime, they're their son that was a little older than me tried to manipulate and put himself in a position where me and him can have sexual acts in the bedroom. Tried it on multiple nights, and luckily I was in a middle space strong enough to be like, no,
Right.
right. But it went some routes. Some things happened that I was uncomfortable with. It didn't go too far, but like it went far enough to where I can say no and have some power over what I can and can't happen to me. Now I had always heard about the first time. I think I was 5 years old, and this woman tried to, I was in school and I was had to walk to the bus or something like that. I don't know what it was, and this woman tried to pull me in the alley, had my pants down in the alley at 5 years old. I don't remember it, but my parents told me about it, and but that's crazy. I guess that was to be the first time something like that happened. But then, later on at 13, 14, that happened, and I never really addressed it with anybody because I thought because I got the no out, I had it under control and said you can't have this from me.
Right.
That I felt like I was okay. But as you get older, you start looking at some of the things that you're going through, some of the things that you've done, and you're like, wow, that may have came from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I have this thing, me and my wife talk about it. There's just certain areas you just can't touch me. Some men, they do it because they do it, right?
Yeah.
Don't touch me there.
Yeah.
I think that came from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't go there because this becomes an anxiety moment.
Yeah.
Heart start pumping. I feel like I'm in a space where I have to defend myself. And when I'm in that, I don't have a filter. I'll say whatever to get myself out of that space.
Yeah. How did that affect your self-esteem being put in a uncomfortable predicament from a man-to-man
interaction? Man. I don't think I felt any type of way. I just knew that this was the wrong way to find or get love from someone. I just felt like this was the wrong area for that. I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. I just remember that no being it.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna take this no. This is as far as this is going, right? And this is not the love that I want to receive.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, later on finding out that I can get that love from the opposite sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just made me into this guy trying to find out what it looks like from whoever it looks like.
And so a lot of times, guys, we don't really hear a lot about men's sexual assault.
Yeah.
I believe a lot of times it is because the man persona that you guys have to be tough and roar like a lion and don't look weak and don't cry and all those things, when I believe that's furthest from the truth.
Yeah.
But it's still just not okay. No sexual assault on any level is okay.
No,
it's
absolutely not.
You don't realize how much is taken from a person, even from just being in such an uncomfortable place.
Yeah.
And the fear and anxiety that it brings. You understand what I'm saying? So I commend you for being a strong man and just being able to stand tall in that.
Yeah. Appreciate
and you found your way as a man. I think you're a hell of a man. I'm telling you, you're my brother from another mother for sure.
I appreciate that.
I know I could just. I mean, we dive deep.
Yeah. She knows a lot about some of the stuff that I've gone through and vice versa.
Yeah,
and,
we definitely dive.
I wanted to say this though, so I think one of the things that got me through a lot of it is this statement that my mother gave me a long time ago: is you need to find a way to be gentle in your strength. Right.
I like that.
She said you have to find a way to be gentle in your strength. So there's a middle ground where you can still keep that hard structure, you can still keep your power, but at the same time you have to be in tune with what it would look like to be gentle to people, to your sisters, your brothers, everybody's other people, to where you still keep your power, but you're still a gentle person. And it took a while, right? I'm 47 now, so it took a while to kind of figure out this balance of being able to keep my power, draw a line in the sand for certain things that you can or cannot do on levels, and still be able to sit down with someone and them feel the love and compassion that they should from a man.
Right.
And I think it took me having daughters to learn.
Yeah.
I couldn't learn that from a woman I was dating.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to find love inside of the womb from her. But I was finding it through these young women that I was birthing, these wonderful little creatures. And me having to be a strong father, right, to you, to where you can't run over me. But being gentle,
but I can still
still being gentle enough to come down to your level and understand why you're feeling this and this.
Yeah.
And I do that. I'm starting, I think, to get better. Maybe my daughter can tell me, Madison, baby, you can, if you see this, go down in the chat and let me know.
Yeah, let us know, Madison. If not, we're gonna make sure he do the work.
Right.
Okay.
I try and talk to her in a way where I understand where she comes from. I understand what she's saying, but I'm still going to stand my ground as a father and tell you these are the things that I won't let you do.
Right.
These are the things that I will allow you to do. And I think we're getting a better relationship in the midst of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then also in doing the work, did you receive therapy along the way?
Through so many places.
Okay.
I'm a firm believer that you can get information just from about anywhere. So I've always sat down with a lot of older men throughout the years. So a lot of information from them came to me. I never really was a guy that sat around my peers. I had people that I would sit around. Okay. So we had that. I had mentors, male mentorship groups that I was a part of. But I think there's no better teacher than the mistakes that you make. There's no better, because if you're a person who's aware of your life, once you make a mistake and you see that went wrong, you can identify the opposite direction to go and you can make the adjustment. I don't think people are aware enough to make the adjustment after they make a mistake. Right. And they continue on. But yeah, my girls taught me how to be gentle. Life taught me how to set boundaries, and my parents taught me what trauma.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and also, I always encourage therapy in a relationship with Christ.
Oh yeah.
And I know you're a believer, so we don't have to.
I've been through. Matter of fact, we've been through the therapy on that, right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had. This is my first time having a personal therapist. So I go through some now. I think once a month. I've been through marriage counseling, right, where they kind of pulled us together or separately. So I've had that, but like someone that I can really. And once again, Frank Patterson, I love you so much, bro. Like you're one of the only people that I can do this with, right? So there's only one. That's the young man I'm talking about, Frank Patterson. He is the only man I can literally. If he was here and I was hurting, this is the only man I feel comfortable enough to be able to lay down next to, huddle up next to him, and cry like a little baby without feeling like he would manipulate or use the situation to belittle or anything like that. That's big. Yeah, this is the only man on this planet that I feel like I can do that with. If he was he's in Atlanta now. He was one of my spiritual and he was my spiritual father or spiritual uncle, because my spiritual father was Kelvin Scale, but he was my spiritual uncle. So anytime I was going through something, he understood my pain. He understood my problems, issues. He knew how to address them, how to check me. He understood how to find a way to pull out of me everything that was needed to teach me back what I deserved and needed at the moment. And I'm forever grateful for this man. Like he'll be my friend for life. It's someone I can't lose. But yeah, Frank is the only person that if I needed a counselor, I would use him. Wow, that's one of the most unbiased individuals in my life. Like he'll look at the situation from both ends and give me like, Mike, you're wrong on this part, but you need to fix that part. Yeah. He's on, and I don't. He's a best friend. He loves me, but he will not be biased towards my feelings, nor he will chastise me in a way where. And with the Bible. Let me tell you, Frank know what I'm talking about. With a little bit of accountability. I'm telling you right now. Big on accountability.
That's awesome. And as I've always said here on Black Sheep, we definitely believe in having therapy and a relationship with Christ to help us be some of the tools that we need to be able to start our healing journey. Yep. Not only that, guys, if there's something you may need to help start your healing journey, it does not have to be come telling your story to be set free on our platform. DM us or email us. We have resources. We have one-on-one services where you can get with myself or another teacher that I have, where we will help you start your healing journey. And that's very important. That's what we preach here on Black Sheep, that we want everybody to be able to be set free from the trauma that they have experienced. So thank you, Mike, for coming out here and sharing your story. And amazing story. I'm so glad that you're set free from that. Yeah. More importantly, I pray and hope that something you said today will set another young man free, or maybe a young lady, or maybe your daughters will hear this and see that you're trying and you're still doing the work. So remember, guys, lastly, here on Black Sheep, the things that you don't talk about are the things we want to talk about. I see you next time on Black Sheep.